So we are here. This is very exciting. We are here to talk about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery. This is episode 4 called The Butcher's Knife Cares Not for the Lamb's Cry, which I think is a pretty good title there. And my friend Tom is here to talk about the episode with me.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah. So this was kind of, in my opinion, sort of one of those sort of probably look back at the end of the season and see this is sort of more of a filler episode, not one of the like big episodes. But I certainly enjoyed it. There were some things we'll talk about that I kind of had questions about, and so it'll be fun. But what did you think of this episode?
Yeah, I did kind of have that filler feeling about it. Boy, is the title long. It's
Yeah.
the only Star Trek episode title longer is "For the World Is Hollow and I Have Touched the Sky." I was thinking about that when I was looking at the title there. But anyway, no, it does have kind of a filler feeling. I think it's the main thing here is that it's we're progressing through from one plot point to another, right? We've had the setup and the introduction of the conflict, and now our heroes are groping through trying to find the solution. And maybe they'll succeed, maybe they'll fail, but like it's kind of that we're just seeing what they're taking a crack at it. They're in the wanderer phase of the hero's journey.
Yeah. This is just getting some of the puzzle pieces together. But they haven't quite solved anything yet.
yeah. Although that's not to say there weren't some interesting revelations.
True.
New developments.
Yeah. So all in all, I felt I do have one, kind of gripe, I guess, that maybe is a little SJW about it, but we'll talk about. But that kind of annoys me about the show. But yeah. So basically, last time we saw this monster that was on the ship, the Glen, that it sort of felt a little bit sort of an alien feel last episode.
Yeah.
And so now they have this monster, creature, whatever you want to call it, and Lorca wants to like use the monster the creature to weaponize it in order to defeat the Klingons. And what do you think of? We got a lot of more of Lorca this episode, and sort of, what do you think of this sort of setup?
Yeah, well, his single-mindedness is interesting, and Lorca's single-mindedness, that is, and it does feel like the darkest we've ever seen, like a Starfleet admiral or captain behave, in terms of like, I don't care about its welfare. Don't give a crap as long as it benefits my mission, which is to win a war. Now, on the one hand, you want someone when there's a war going on, when you're actually being threatened, you want someone who's like that. You want someone who's thinking in terms of just win, just end this so that it's over as quick as possible. On the other hand, war has a cost, and one of those costs is, if you're not careful, you can lose your humanity. That there's an old quote that goes something like, the only thing that approaches the horror of losing a war is winning one, because of what you are at the end. And I take that to mean, that's because of what you are at the other end of it.
Yeah. I mean, I've only really all that familiar with the movies, but it does feel very different to me as far as the emphasis on this war. Is that something? I know a lot of fans are really bothered by that. Does that something bother you for Star Trek?
I think, one thing I guess I am missing is, and I think I talked about this before, is that this Starfleet is not the Starfleet I want to join. This Starfleet this ship is not the ship I want to fantasize about living aboard and working on.
Yeah, that's true.
That TNG and even the original series to some extent had that, and Voyager, those all had that appeal to it. Like, you wanted to live that life and hang out with these people.
Yeah.
You do not have that feeling here, but I do like the sense of them being sort of, our heroes sort of being embattled. It's like they're stuck in a universe where everything has really gone wrong. It's like maybe I can compare it to Superman and Batman. Like we're used to Superman. We're used to Superman operating in a world where everybody pretty well agrees that um, just injustice is bad and justice is good,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whereas Batman operates embattled. He's the only guy in Gotham, or one of the only guys in Gotham, who give a crap about justice. Everybody else is just out for themselves, and you get the sense that it's this nightmare fueled, dystopia. Um, and he's the only bright light, in the center of all that chaos. Well, we're getting that feeling in Discovery that
Mm.
Burnham and Tilly and Stamets are all like the three of them are the only ones sort of clinging to the old ways as well as they can, just to kind of get through it.
Hmm. Because I would say that, oh gosh, I mean, the the officer that's also my Saru. I would say he's the one that's the most clinging to the old ways. No.
I guess, but he to some extent, but to him the old ways are less about ethics and more about the org chart, and
Hmm.
and about like his ethos is if I follow the rules and stay in place, I'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're starting to see that he's troubled by that the developments so far in the war are starting to disrupt that belief.
Mm-hmm.
Like where Burnham tricks him into coming down to take a look at the monster, and when he realizes that he's been tricked and that she doesn't really want to apologize, he's like, "Oh, you'll fit right in with Lorca. You'll fit
Mm-hmm.
right in with these people. You're cunning and deceitful." Um, I think he's starting to get that um, the old established order won't save him necessarily, and I think it bothers him. So it'll be interesting to see what his character goes through the rest of
Yeah,
the season.
it will be really interesting. That was an interesting scene where it was kind of heartbreaking in a way when he realized, I don't know, there's just a innocence about him, I think.
Sure, yeah,
Hmm. And it does seem, again, I only know from the movies, but I haven't seen much of the TV show, but it does seem a little bit more cynical than some of the other, even the bad Star Trek movies are typically a little more hopeful than this series seems to me to be so far.
yeah. I think the world in which it's set is kind of cynical, yeah.
Yeah.
But the I think Burnham is um, fighting for an approach that will renew. I think will eventually renew Starfleet. I think
Hmm.
my completely uneducated, unqualified opinion she is that she's destined to become the captain of this ship. And once Starfleet, but that's only once Starfleet gets over this,
Hmm.
gets past this really dark period.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. So basically, there's a lot of the Klingons in this episode,
Yeah,
and they're trying to attack this colony, or they have attacked it, and they have attacked it. And uh, the I was a little confused. Okay, so there's these spores,
yeah.
and the Stamets doesn't want to make there's like a long jump in order to get to the colony or something, and they have to use the spores. I have we seen these spores before? I was a little bit confused with the spores.
Well, yeah, we saw them in the last episode, but
Are they there?
that was our introduction to them.
I guess I forgot that part of the last episode. I was just kind of like, what are these things? I don't even remember. And so they allow you to jump or something. They have power, or I don't know. I
Yeah,
was a
well,
little bit
yeah,
confused about the
we're gonna.
spores.
There's well, don't feel bad because most of us are. I based on a conversation on After Trek last night, they hinted that in the next episode we'll get some more nuts and bolts about how the spores are supposed to help you instantaneously materialize in another part of the galaxy.
Oh, okay.
We don't really know why. We know that it has something to do. Well, we know that Stamets kind of has a monologue where he talks about how on the quantum level, biology is indistinguishable from physics, because it's all the same subject.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Once you get small enough, it's all the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently these spores have something to do with them being able to do this. Now, it turns out that, in this episode, Burnham is able to puzzle out what that creature was doing on the ship, and what its function was. And using it, they were able to, as a sort of navigation computer, they were able to save the colonists, save the miners.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It just has some kind of energy sort of about it, seems like. Because it
Or
was,
it,
because,
or it taps into, or it taps into the galaxy in some,
okay.
profound way that causes you to toy with space time. Yeah, I don't
Because
know.
it was calming the beast, the
Mhm.
creature. So it has some kind of energy to it of some kind. So we get this Commander Landry, and she wants to like keep going. She doesn't want to. She's frustrated with this creature, and so she wants to use this gun to sedate him.
Uh-huh.
And Burnham tries to stop her and say, you know, we don't know what will happen if even when he gets this the sedation material in him. We don't know how he'll respond to it. But anyway, she goes in and he escapes and freaks out and kills her.
Yep.
And this is where I get my SJW moment, I guess, because I'm just a little frustrated because I was hoping that this show would be a little more progressive, because, and not in a pushy way or annoying way or whatever, but just in an empowering way, because you had two uh, two captains, leaders, whatever, to start off. One of them's already dead, and another has been imprisoned and is kind of now led by, Burnham is now sort of led by two white men, and now you have this other woman of color that's immediately killed, and I'm just kind of like, it just kind of annoys me. I mean, I knew as soon as I was like, oh, she's a goner. I just felt like, and I don't know. So am I being too sensitive, or do you think
Oh,
it's
maybe. Yeah. The thing is that the thing about it is that the way that Star Trek treats um, identity politics is that once you're in the world of Star Trek, your identity doesn't matter, and that's what makes it progressive, is that it doesn't matter. Literally, nobody cares
hmm,
whether you're white, black, white, whatever. There's no like, it's sort of colorblind.
mm-hmm,
There's no or very little sense of um, uh, oh well, the white people used to mistreat Mexicans, so we can't, a Mexican person can't be seen to be in danger while the white person survives.
mm-hmm,
Within the world of Star Trek, like when Captain Janeway was in charge of Voyager, no one on the ship, nobody was like, well, now that we have a lady captain, now that we have a woman captain, we better, try to adjust to how she wants to do things because she's the lady captain and everything. It'll be different. I'm used to male captains. I've never had a female captain. Nobody
oh,
says that.
interesting, okay,
Nobody ever says that. The only people who ever bring it up are sexist aliens. Who are like, I'm not dealing with a woman who's really in charge. But
mm-hmm.
on the ship, no one even thinks about it. No one bats an eye.
Hmm. Okay, that's interesting to know. I didn't know that. You have the creature being sent to engineering, and they're like trying to connect it to to use it for navigation purposes because of
Apparently,
the energy of it or something like that.
yeah. Apparently,
And this allows them to jump to the colony and save the colony. So there you go. Did they have too much of the Klingons, you felt like, this episode? There's a
um,
lot of subtitles.
No, actually, they kind of had to catch up. I felt a little
Okay.
because we didn't see them at all in the last episode. We had no idea what
Mm,
was going on, so we actually kind of needed to catch up. There was some setup in the first two episodes with them, quite a lot actually, and we're trying to get a feel for like, okay, what's going on in the Empire, and what are the power dynamics, and um, what's this story about? Why did we meet these Klingons? Because if they were, if we met them, then then they're important to the story. So yeah, we need to know what's going on. Yeah, for people who have a hard time with subtitles, yeah, sorry.
no, I don't. I watch a lot of foreign films and stuff, so I didn't have a problem.
Yeah,
But
sure. No, I
I
know
just
you
thought
don't. I just,
I just thought there was a lot.
I just know that some people are like, oh, I didn't come here to read. I know some people just don't like it, and
Yeah.
I'm not looking down on that. I'm just saying, well, this is one of those you're going to
Yeah.
struggle.
Do they typically have the Klingons speak Klingon? I can't remember in the movies if that was always the case.
It kind
Oh.
of depends. At least in bits, yeah.
Hmm. Okay. So yeah, so basically like there's these people, these characters that are battling it out amongst the Klingons. One wants to mutiny, one wants uh the to be more um I guess bold. I don't know.
Right.
And anyway, so they're battling it out, and one of them gets basically like exiled, and so
Yeah, Vok, the
yeah,
albino, yeah, who was
yeah,
kind of the heir apparent to Kuvma.
yeah.
Um, and so he's kind of he's got a belief in what Takuma was talking about uniting all Klingons and reaching out and uniting the Empire, and uh, all that seems to be
Hmm.
dissolving between his fingers.
Yeah. So basically, by the end, Laurel and Volk are are kind of now separated from. They've sort of formed two sort of groups, kind of two sort
Well,
of
no,
ideas.
she ends up joining him at the end. Remember,
Yeah.
but it's a little iffy because it's like, wait, whose side is she really on? Because appears to
Mhm.
betray him at one point.
Right.
So we're she's kind of a wild card,
Hmm.
and also possibly a romantic interest for Volk. So
Hmm. Yeah, but like the two of them are sort of one group, and then you've got the
the House of
Cole and
Core,
his sort
yeah,
of
Cole from the House of
their group.
Core, yeah.
Yeah.
As a fan, I got excited about Cole because he's from the House of Core, and Core is uh, the first Klingon we meet in the original series,
Mm.
um, and he's great. He's a delight. Like he's my favorite Star Trek villain easily
Mm.
because he's just got such a wicked, crafty smile. Go watch. For those who aren't caught up on original series, go watch. Um, oh, what is the name of that? Oh, I cannot believe I'm forgetting this. It takes place on Organia. I'll look it up. But while I'm looking it up,
Hmm. So, have the design of the Klingons have they grown on you a little? I mean, you weren't super opposed to them to begin with, but what do you think about them now? Do you feel like you've gotten more accustomed to them? I know it's pretty different.
no, yeah, I'm still getting used to them. I kind of
Mm.
wish they had hair. I don't know why they have to be bald,
Mm.
but and maybe it's cheaper that way. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But they are interesting, and I do like the clothing, and
Mm-hmm.
I do like the ships and stuff.
That was an interesting thing they had on After Trek about the clothing, the different they had the costume designer on there talking about the uniforms and the other costumes and
Mhm.
the different colors that they used and the different symbols and everything. So I thought that was interesting. They've obviously made a great attention to detail on this show.
Oh yeah, more so than ever. Honestly,
Hmm.
even into next gen and DS9, the Klingon costumes were kind of cheesy and kind of lazy.
Hmm.
Now they looked cool when they first appeared in the mid '80s. They looked cool compared to the pajamas that we saw in the original series. But those yeah, you can't bring those back. Sorry, they're done.
Mm-hmm.
These 3D printed, like incredibly intricate and detailed suits of armor and stuff are just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just eye candy.
Well, and in the crew, the whole like red shirt thing has become such a joke that like you definitely couldn't do that. Like I like the fact she said that there was like gold for the captain, silver trimming on the outfits for the officers,
For
and
science, yeah.
yeah, and then there was something different for engineering, and then for medical, there's different. That was white, and
Right, copper for engineering and security,
yeah,
and then
copper.
white
That's
for medical. Yeah.
that's right. It was cool. It was interesting. So,
Well, yeah. If you look at actually the those metallic colors have a lineage to the original pilot, the Cage. If you ever watch that,
oh,
um,
yeah, that's a
the
good. I
colors
like
of the
that.
uniforms are a little bit more muted and metallic looking.
Hmm.
Like Spock, for instance, is not so much wearing a blue shirt as he is kind of a silver,
Hmm.
and so on. So like the engineering guys, it's not so much red. It's not really red. It's kind of a dull copper. So yeah, it sort of
Hmm.
fits that's supposed to take place, by the way, at the same time, like within a few years. It's supposed to be happening at the same time. So
Hmm. Okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I haven't seen that the cage. I liked it very much. It was really good.
yeah,
So
it's one of the best ones, and it was the first out of the gate. So there you go.
yeah. So all right. Well, I think we covered pretty much everything. So next week it is called Choose Your Pain, which I think I actually really dig all of the titles this season. I think they're
Yeah, they're bringing it with the titles.
yeah, they really are. It's very descriptive. So that will be next week, and should be a lot of fun. What would you would I guess you like the binary ranking system. So would you give this a smile or a frown this episode?
Smile, yeah. It's no, there's a lot to sink your teeth into. There's stuff about I love how they Burnham talks about like um, a creature is what it is, not what you see. And
Hmm.
that's how it is with everybody you meet. They aren't who you see. They are so much more complicated than you can detect.
Yeah, the dialogue really,
And that
really
was
was
cool.
pretty good. I thought this episode. We haven't really talked about that, but I thought there were a bunch of quotable quotes. I have to say, I wish I, I don't know. I should have written more of them down, but I felt like it felt, I don't know, it was just a well written script. I thought they felt authentic to these characters, and like I said, the moments with between Saru and Burnham felt particularly good. But I bought this Lorca as this captain that was pretty cold and calculating, but still I didn't like hate him, which I think takes
Right.
like good writing.
And good acting too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So, all right, well, cool. Well, I would also give it a smile. If I was doing like 1 to 10, I'd probably give it like a 6.5. So definitely fresh, but like it feels a little filler, but I enjoyed it. So, but yeah, so technically a smile, I guess. But anyway, so look forward to next week. And where can people find you?
I'd love for you to follow my Twitter feed at Happy Place Poems, poems inspired by Disneyland. If you want to just follow my regular internet blatherings, it's at Elmano Roboto on Twitter.
Yeah, sounds awesome. So yeah, you can follow me at Smiling LDS Girl on social media. Make sure to subscribe to Rachel's Reviews on iTunes and give us your reviews. And my you can read my Blade Runner 2049 review on my blog, 54disneyreviews.com. And so thanks so much for joining me to talk about this latest episode of Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you.
Yeah.